Welcome to another episode of The Diplomats. I'm joined here by our Season 5 Nexus Online commentators, superb par excellence players, Superstition and Audacious Hand, top ranked, although I saw Audacious Hand's rankings slip significantly the other day on the Nexus server. Here to talk about the fall 1902 moves of season 5. Our sponsor is diplomacybriefing.com. And if Humble doesn't join us soon, he's not going to have his nice newsletter, which is for free at diplomacybriefing.com, be sponsor any further. In any event, gentlemen, welcome. Here we are. I've not even looked at the moves. You guys have, which is why you're paid the big bucks from Diplomacy Briefing. Here we go. So as I look at the map, the first thing I wanted to look for was what I predicted in the addendum, which was Bulgaria holding and Turkey going to Smyrna. Your guys' thoughts on the Turkish moves?
Turkish moves are great. I think he did exactly what he needed to save himself. I don't know. The Bulgaria hold is really weird to me. I guess that was the price of survival, which is, I guess, fine. But then you're going to stab Italy too. And so I don't know how Russia would feel about helping Turkey and stabbing Italy. So I'm like, where is Austria getting its ally? Or is it just going to think that this many centers is good? 6 centers, it's fine? I don't know. Why would you hold Bulgaria?
Well, he wanted to take Trieste because he was going to stab Italy and stop the convoy. And, right. He didn't take, he had to pick one power to go against right now. And the one power he picked was was Italy. And I think you're right. Obviously, look, the little AT got going. Conq found a friend.
You think the Bulgaria was just a peace offering?
I think it was a peace offering. Or if it wasn't a peace offering, it was an attempt to say to Russia or Austria, one of you better join with me right now.
Well, the Bulgaria hold, but yeah, I suppose so. I just can't see Turkey allowing Bulgaria to stay Austrian for long. And right now has no way of really taking it back in the short term. But I suppose.
What this signals to me is that, well, first of all, Austria is kind of outing themselves as a contractual kind of mercenary negotiator, right? A tit for tat. I get Bulgaria, you support me into Italy, into the Ionian Sea, that blocks the convoy. Also, it shows that Austria is absolutely confident that Turkey and Russia cannot work it out. So, if you count up the centers, right, the combined centers of Austria and Italy are only, even now with the stab, are only, I believe, one ahead of Turkey and Russia. In a vacuum, that would, if I was Russia or Turkey, it's time for the to rev up the juggernaut a little bit.
The juggernaut, yeah. I think the juggernaut was last turn, but even still, a late term juggernaut looks amazing, especially with this center so strong. You need to free France up.
Well, it's going to be very difficult with Austria now getting 2 builds with 2 armies. And Turkish units sort of out of position. So
Russian units are out of position. There was no pressure on Austria. He didn't hold Moscow, so he can't pivot north or south.
This is why I'm saying an RT forming doesn't seem likely now. Maybe down the road, but at this I don't.
Well, I think even though it's unlikely, I think beyond the unlikelihood, and if that's a word, and the I think just there's a personality clash going on at this point. You guys have played with Village Idiot and Conq. I'm kind of amazed about how the way they've clutched each other and just leapt into the sea together. there's definitely some bad blood going on, and if I was Austria, I'd be just laughing into my sleeve over it.
I don't think it's
I don't
bad.
think there's bad blood.
Here's why. One is, I believe the two of them teamed up as a team in some sort of web dip or play dip or some dip competition where they played together, and they were partners. And from all accounts, that went swimmingly. I think VI's a logical player, and he was like, "We got to get rid of Conq," and I can. And his calculation was, I can outthink anybody, so let's get rid of Conq. Austria here, I can't fault Austria for what they've done. They're going to control the middle of the board. What I would like your guys' thoughts on is Italy. Italy obviously didn't trust Austria too much because moves back to Trieste, which didn't work out because it was forced, but yet made the move from Tyrrhenian Sea to Gulf of Leon as opposed to supporting the Ionian. If the support had gone through, the convoy would have gone through. So clearly, I'm thinking Italy probably told Austria he was moving back to Trieste and Gulf of Leon. That information got leaked to Conq, which is how the plan developed. That's my guess. Do you think I'm off base here?
Maybe. I think that he was probably supposed to move to Piedmont, or they arranged a bounce in Trieste, which I'm not sure why you would do that. But it sounds more likely that Tom gathered some information and that Trieste might not be secure.
First, I want to just, before I even say anything, I want to just give Conq my appreciation, my adoration for how he played this turn. Out of everything on the board, and there's a lot of doo-doo on this board, frankly, in my mind, the disband was brilliant. The way he played this was brilliant. Even if he goes out, he goes out in flames. And frankly, just from my impression of his move, I imagine that he might be a little bit of a player like me, where sometimes you are a little bit, I don't know, over-eager, lazy, kind of experimenting, and when your back is against the wall is when you do your best. I wouldn't be surprised if the move to Trieste is a much more complicated flow of information than we've even thought of so far. I mean, some kind of management of information where Italy becomes alerted to the fact that Austria is going to take Romania, but try to kind of slip into Trieste with one army, something of that order. Really, there's no way we're going to peel away the layers of this onion. But I think there's something complex going on there, and I do kind of suspect that Conq is behind it.
Well, he'll work every angle possible, and I mean, I call him the people's choice. I'm glad to see him not get killed and to have life. Although I like the players. I really like I don't mind what Austria did at all. What do you guys think? Should Austria have done this?
No, I think it was awful. It has Conq written all over it. He will send you tons of press until you believe him. Stabbing Italy, I think, is a really bad idea. He's already poised to move against France. He's committed against Turkey. He's really no threat to you, and it's really in your best interest to have a strong ally. I think what Austria did here was pretty much flush all his allies away. And so the East is in complete chaos now, in my opinion. It's just going to be people fighting for centers here and there. The only strong alliance that's left is England and Germany.
So it is hard for Italy at this situation. They're committed, but on the other hand, Italy has a disband coming. Ionian, the Greek army in the Ionian, it has free passage to Naples. The army in Tunis is stranded. We're not seeing the disbands yet. We may do an addendum like we did before. What do you think Italy disbands here?
I guess I just want to throw in. I don't unequivocally think that Austria made a bad choice here necessarily. I mean, it is quite a gamble, right? Because Italy is hard for Austria to take down. What he's gambling on is that Russia and Turkey are not going to work it out. They're just going to continue their fencing over Black Sea indefinitely. He does get those two builds. The disband is a huge headache for Italy. The one thing that does kind of tilt me towards Superstition's opinion is just that with zero French pressure against Italy really can slow down that advance. And the temptation of Russia and Turkey to kind of form a united front is there. But in the abstract, if you recall me talking about the Austrian attack dog and how you wake up and he's eaten so many steaks that it's some muscle bound kind of monster. We are kind of slowly getting there. He is pumping out those armies. It's a risk. Personally, I might have moved against Russia, but you might be gambling that Russia is so neutered at this point that he's no threat and he can just plunge that red spear into his heartland anytime he wants.
Yeah, but one move to Galicia, that's not fun.
He's about.
I think Turkey might get Greece out of this in 03, or he might turn on Austria with Russia if he can get his units in position. It's a gamble by Austria. I think Austria's gambling on his diplomacy because obviously he's going to have to commit he's not done anything against Russia except fail to commit to the AIR. It's not I don't think it's a stab of Russia, but clearly Russia was worried, that there might be some trickery going on. But Russia, man, if you're Austria, this is a great position. Germany now, the Central Alliance.
There's no Central Alliance anymore.
Yeah, well, there is between Austria and Germany, right? Because Germany certainly it's taken Sweden. And as we move to the west here, but just one comment on further-wise, I mean, what is going to get built by Germany other than an army? And that army is
Berlin.
Probably going to go east.
Yep.
There is no...
Towards Russia.
I agree with Superstition. There is no Central Alliance here simply because it seems like Italy was actually willing to... again, I was saying this last time. Italy is it's not an immediately powerful power, but you are the key to unlocking both France and Turkey, and Italy was willing to unlock France and Turkey for both of them. Yeah, and honestly, Austria interrupted that plan, right? So now Germany finds himself at loggerheads with France, and we can talk about just how terrible and this attack on France has proved to be, not in terms of the choice to attack France, but in the tactical kind of pieces not coming together. But there's Austria just threw away that Central Alliance. That's undeniable. I'm not saying that necessarily means that Austria is wrong. I mean, they may be banking on the fact that maybe they have enough to kind of gunboat themselves to victory with maybe Russian help.
I see an EAS disband, and then probably retreat to Adriatic. Maybe I guess he has to retreat to Naples or APU. I don't think he can go to Adriatic.
Yeah, he might actually disband the Western Fleet. I mean, Germany will mourn his offensive against France, but that might not be too useful there. I mean, Italy is in a precarious position, but even with that position, it's still going to be a while before Austria can really break in.
It's a bad spot because the army's useless in Tunis.
Yeah, armies is So if you disband it, you give up Naples or Tunis. If you can't disband the Ionian though, right? You have to retreat it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with you. Treat likely to Naples, giving what I said before, free passage. It's not. I missed that. But man, the fleets are in a good spot.
Yeah, you can go to the Tyrrhenian Sea. That way you can convoy to Naples if you need to.
I mean, Austria, they must really feel confident in their ability just to outplay their neighbors, because if you think about it, if he is, it also might be that he feels that Russia is his soulmate here, right? On the other hand, though, if he's banking on an AT, I mean, so Turkey's going to pump out fleets then and be his southern naval force. But I mean, Italy would have served the same function and is closer to the front. Turkey as a naval partner is basically serving the same function, but takes more moves to get west and has to kind of move through your area of the board to do so. So, yeah, I mean,
I think Conq can negotiate an EAS disband, and they'll probably start to dissect Austria, but we'll see.
It could be.
Okay, it's time to talk about the West. Doc Bender, you don't become a world champion if you don't have good tactics. France is a hard nut to crack, and if you can't crack it correctly, someone like Doc Bender is going to know exactly what to do. And absolutely, precisely zero progress by EG with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Am I counting 7 units against 5?
I mean, okay, this is where I might sound a little harsh, but this is a truly trash attack on France. Okay, Doc Bender, this is a good move, right? It's, you don't really have to be god level to produce this move. Good players,
it's almost predictable. Yeah, it's the only move he could do.
Good players, they're gonna tap your units instead of supporting, which is something you can break. He taps Burgundy, which is really smart, because then there can't be a malicious support on the self bounce in Paris, which but on the other hand, I mean, would this German English team even have thought of a malicious support? I mean, to me, the move here would have been,
well, what support? Okay,
yeah,
you were about to say it, and I was about to say it. You can't call it atrocious without saying what you would have done.
Yeah, well, you can convoy Holland to Picardy with support from Belgium, and you would have even, forced disbanded that unit. I mean, it's a subtle move, but it's almost obvious to me. Not only that, but when he held Holland 2 turns in a row, and I have to say, this is something this is the exact, rock that I've seen this English-German ship break apart on so many times, which is England and Germany. They have armies in Belgium and Holland. They can't trust each other, and they just sit there holding the whole game, making no progress against France while other powers creep up on them. I would have, if he had moved to Ruhr 2 turns ago, they could have supported into Picardy and supported Munich into Burgundy, but they just couldn't find that level of trust. Given the fact that Germany has been somewhat proactive, you almost wonder if he's, again, like I was saying about Italy last turn, dragging his feet and doesn't want England to make progress. But I suspect that this is just poor play, frankly. You're playing against the world champion. It's not that hard. You get in the sandbox.
You can't say both. You can't say it's not that hard and you're playing against the world champion. But you're right. The sandbox is Gohorn's Go's best friend in online games.
No, I can say this because, listen, when you're playing against someone, you figure out how many layers they think in, right? So this is the first true kind of tactical showdown, and your opponent he's just going to play the optimal move. Get in the sandbox, draw out the optimal move. You would have produced Doc's move fairly rapidly, and then counter that move. I mean, the move they put together, it's simply not going to work.
The best move, if you have the trust, is the convoy from Holland to Picardy with IRI supporting the channel. But even if you don't have that, I'd rather ground my fleet and support north into ENG than to do this. I mean, if you don't have German buy-in, you could at least make some kind of French progress. This is nothing.
It's almost like they knew Italy was going to come in there and just kind of lazily put something together saying, okay, we'll hold the line and Italy will help us. And then what do you know? I mean, like, you've got France and Turkey blowing in each of Austria's ears and your plan falls apart, I mean,
so let me ask you this. I'm not a, without Sandbox, sometimes I'm lost, but if ENG had moved to MAO with Irish support, you didn't want to retreat North Atlantic.
No.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I thought about that. Was the first thing I looked at.
And you would lose, and you might lose the channel depending on what you're doing. No, the move is definitely the convoy. It's when you have a move that can't be stopped like that one, just do it. I mean, I don't know. I just think they didn't spend enough time on this move, or when you need perfect coordination to take down France, you can't sit there and just worry that for some reason England's gonna just walk into Holland. Yeah, it's frankly poor play in my opinion.
Congratulations to him for picking a good power to defend, though. He had a big target.
Yeah, well done, Doc. Well done.
And so now no builds for England. Germany will get a build. Do you think what I originally suggested was that army has to go east, or do you think that Germany may now shift gears because Doc Bender's probably working on Germany a bit? You can take Belgium, maybe you can take maybe you can take Norway.
He's got a bottleneck. I don't know what an army in rural will do, but
you got to be patient though, right? European players, my experience, like balance of power, so maybe those guys are just going to be patient.
I mean, I guess since Warsaw is just too busy, drinking vodka all game, I guess maybe you can't afford to be patient. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it just seems to me like they just don't have the coordination and the trust to take Doc down.
Well, and until he can get an ally, though, he's going to be stuck. So they might have a few years to perfect their tactics.
Well, even without the convoy, it doesn't take, a ton of trust. If Germany was really worried about the convoy and the fall to Picardy, well, England could have taken Holland this turn anyways if they wanted to.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
There was no reason not to trust.
Well, he probably has a cascade of paranoid thoughts, like the army goes to Holland and then it gets into Germany, et cetera, et cetera. I have to say too, though, that's a mistake as well. I mean, out of all the powers on the board, for some powers, losing a home center or having an
apologies, technical discussion of the West, and so we're going to pick up where Hand was ranting. So, Cedric, Hand, A8, continue your rant.
I believe
lost the connection.
I'm not sure exactly where we got cut off.
Go ahead.
I believe my last word describing the hold in Holland for 2 consecutive seasons is abominable. And it doesn't even only apply to this kind of impotent, flaccid attack on France, but there's also the opportunity cost of what's going on in the campaign against Russia, which on the surface does seem to be going well, but on the other hand, there's not a single army available to, apply pressure to Russia's heartland, right? It seems like their sights are set on, I suppose, taking St. Petersburg and not moving any farther.
Yeah,
Hello.
We switched to Russia.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know how the Russian assault's going to go. All their units are really tied up with France. That holding Warsaw might be good if he's assuming there's going to be a convoy to Livonia. He might be able to try to block it. But if he was in Silesia, he would already have pressure.
Yep.
So Russia, no builds, 5 units. Bad situation.
Well, at least Turkey moved away.
Where does Russia go from here?
Well, again, like I just said, I mean, if there's any consolation for Russia, it's the fact that the situation could be worse, that Germany is too. I'll circle back to trying to find a polite adjective, but to something to move either to Ruhr or to Kiel or to convoy to Picardy or do anything with that army. I mean, Germany can build in a way that's threatening to Russia at this point. He could build an army in Berlin, and then Russia would have to guess right on whether it's moving towards Warsaw or convoying. But for all of Russia's kind of, in my opinion, kind of strategic, tactical, they're maybe not errors, but passiveness, really is an impressive diplomat insofar as he doesn't seem to have, any enemies except in Scandinavia, and even Germany isn't even pressing an attack as hard as he could.
I think he's playing a long game.
Yes.
I would never count the guy out. David Hood from the Diplomacy Broadcast Network and one of the world's best players is always frustrated when armies hold. The army in Warsaw, they're eating, they're drinking beer, they're hanging out with Polish women. Things have been fantastic for that army. Doc Bender in Russia clearly Doc's got to be happy with the development, because to me the only place other than if EG can get their tactics together, it seems like in 03 St. Petersburg is in real danger unless there's some guesses correctly about, is it a convoy to Livonia, is it a play for Warsaw, but that's probably where I think Russia's vulnerable. And look,
it's hard
I
for me to
think you're going to
criticize.
talk to your Turkish friend. Village Idiot's going to reach out to Conq, right? Or, Conq may reach out. The problem is Turkey's in no position right now to help. He just got rescued.
It's hard for me to criticize Russia because I know Russia's a better player, but I remember playing with him, and he did very similar moves where everything was very slow and deliberate, and it really frustrated me because I was moving fast and he was letting me take all the heat. And I think he's just hoping that there's just going to be enough chaos that he's not a part of that he can start to take advantage. But if it were me, I just don't. I don't see me leaving France out to dry as the only person that could probably help.
If you think about it, except for the north, we've got EG locked down in France. We now have an AT locked in with Italy. Chaos is going to ensue, and there's still a lot of game years to go. If he holds on, he has no real enemies except maybe Conq, and he's going to be useful.
I don't know. Turkey's moved away, and I really think Austria is the bigger threat. It's going to build 2, and it can go anywhere it wants. Romania is not very safe. So.
Right. Romania, and you see what Austria did with Italy here, right? Austria seems to have a tendency where, they leave you with a territory that can be picked off. They kind of cultivate that gratitude that's born of vulnerability, and then they just seize it from you. I really think Austria has shown themselves to be somewhat of a center snatcher, which is not the worst strategy. Once Austria has the entirety of the Balkans to themselves, they really are hard to stop, unless you can somehow convince Germany to help with neutralize them, which is pretty rare.
I know
Yeah.
Austria won the gunboat tournament, so I'm just hoping this is more of a diplomatic move versus a strategic move, because in the long run, I just don't see that paying off very well.
It's always a concern letting Turkey potentially out of the box in the mid game.
I mean, I could actually see Austria winning this game at this point. You know, I already saw the certain people who have significant aesthetic differences for me celebrating these moves and saying, well, finally it's a diplomacy, I'd say Nexus finals. And in some sense it is, in that it's only 1902 and you already have the alliances dissolving into dust. That is also something I think to watch out for in games like this, where you have a long time to discuss moves. There's a lot of press. Time seems to move both faster and slower, and you lose sight of the fact that it's only 1902, and that, you know, in under normal circumstances, maybe you wouldn't just cut your bestie's throat in 1902, but it feels like it's 1906 because of the kind of density of press. But on the other hand, you know, if Austria's gamble does pay off, I mean, they're already pretty close, pretty hard to eliminate at this point.
Well, I know an Austria who attacked Italy in the spring 1903 season finals.
Well, it was Pez, so everyone likes to attack Pez. So.
Well, no, I think it was Hand.
I know.
Yeah. Well,
Pez was Italy.
Well, that was a kind of a different situation in that you had like clear, for all they can deny it. And I mean, you read the after game commentaries for that season, and I was guilty of this too. They're just so hilariously propagandistic, and they'll deny it to the end. But when you have Italy absolutely demanding a convoy to Greece in 1901 and just not backing down from it, and then Turkey supports them into Greece in 1901, you know, your options are kind of limited at that point. But yeah, I mean, but yeah.
Right. Enough about memory lane. Look,
but that's a good example. I mean, what happened to me attacking Italy?
Correct.
It did not work well. Yeah.
I don't think Umbo would like this move, but I'm sure he'll come in and give his thoughts on that. All right, we have one retreat on the board. You're going to have to call it, and we're not going to tape an addendum unless something crazy happens. Where does the Ionian retreat to?
Tyrrhenian Sea.
We'll have, you say Tyrrhenian, Hand?
Ooh, well, it really depends on what he plans on disbanding. But if he does disband his fleet in the Gulf of Lyon, I would say. So, I mean, even if he doesn't, then he could follow it in, and yeah, I mean, I actually kind of agree. I agree with Stitches, yeah, because it gives you that, you know, you just don't want a raider getting back into that tile, so you can kind of backfill with the Gulf of Lyon, and it gives you a better position. So, yeah, I agree.
Okay, Germany gets one build. Where do they build?
Army Berlin.
Okay. And
Russia? I might say Army Kiel, possibly. Well, it really depends. I mean, after this guy held his army in Holland 2 turns, I'm kind of like, don't even know what he's thinking. But, you know, if he is determined just to, you know, hold that army indefinitely, he might build Kiel, which gives him the option of either convoying or moving west. Perhaps like Russia showing him his belly will actually work, and he'll be like,
I like Berlin because it puts 3 tiles where Russia would have to guess.
The only growth on the board is Russia right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that's probable, but I also wouldn't be surprised by Kiel just because it gives you the ability to convoy east or move against France.
And I'm going to hold you to it. What does Italy disband?
Eastern Mediterranean.
Most likely the Eastern Mediterranean. Possibly the Gulf of Lyon.
I just think Lyon can drop to west, or can drop to and cover Tunis as you convoy out.
Yeah. I mean, the army in Tunis.
I'd be concerned about losing any fleet.
Yeah.
Italy.
Yeah, I mean, I would be tempted by would be tempted to disband Tunis as well.
I think
Possible.
he drops down to west if there's no retreat to Tyrrhenian Sea. He can protect Tunis in 03. He's got to be really worried about a convoy onto the 3.
He can't really stop an APU convoy. I don't think so.
It's going to be difficult.
It's going to be difficult.
On Venice.
Oh, I didn't even see that. You think Austria and Turkey will bring that army over into Apulia? That would be nice.
If they're doing a real AT, and this is it's more than just a peace offering. Austria needs that.
You know what?
That commitment.
Well, there's two armies to go, right? There's the Smyrna army and there's the Bulgarian army.
Yep.
Either of those moves, Conq, I'm already kind of having that feeling that maybe you have as well, where I'm like really I just love what he did here, and if that happened, I would officially have to become a Conq fanboy, I believe.
It's very much a you move, rise from the dead. So.
Okay, as we do at the end of every fall season, Stitches, who will win Nexus Season 5 tournament?
Oh, good Lord. That's a rough one. Right now, I think Germany has the best position.
Cedric?
For all our discomfort with what he's doing, I might say Austria. Like I said earlier, as long as you just keep pumping out those armies for, keep everyone focused on the naval battles on the periphery and just slowly grow to an unstoppable machine. Austria might have it in them, especially if Russia just continues down this wait and see route. I would say Germany, but again, I just have such a bad taste in my mouth.
I agree, but he still has a good position, even if he's squandering it.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm
gonna go with the people's choice of Turkey.
Wow.
I think this was great. There's 8 years to go, and if there's any person who can just sell someone on something, it's Conq.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got a real good chance. I mean, he's not going to get eliminated now, and so that's a dangerous position to leave Turkey in. He's going to be figuring out what to do. Austria has to be concerned of him, so he may not be able to fully commit to Italy. He may not be able to fully commit to Russia. So this could work to the benefit of Turkey. But I'm also not down on France. I know it looks grim, but if they can hang on, and if the EG gets frustrated, which they may not do, they may not be frustrated, with Italy moving away now on other things, France has a lot of potential here if he can break up the EG. Is that idiotic?
No.
I
wouldn't say so. I mean,
France needs a friend, though.
Yeah. So you guys are not humble.
I like Austria as long as Austria has found a friend in Turkey. Otherwise, it's going to be a slow collapse.
I mean, Austria. Look at what they could do to Russia.
Mm-hmm.
Like
in terms of Turkey at your back, though. So.
I mean, if he can keep, if he can really convince Turkey to be his navy, he could take down Russia fairly quickly. He has the most immediate route to expansion. But I do see what you mean too about Turkey and France. I think there is a part of you, like you said in an earlier podcast, that just loves a comeback victory, but they are threats as long as they maintain territorial integrity. Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much for an entertaining podcast. But it wouldn't be so entertaining without our contestants here helping us produce interesting commentary. To all the folks in the Peanut Gallery on Discord, thank you for listening to us. Thanks to diplomacybriefing.com sponsoring for us. And we will either be back after spring 1903 or have to do an addendum when we see some craziness from Italy on either a retreat or a disband. All right, gentlemen, Thank you so much. Have a good one.
You too.
See you next time.
Peace.